So I'm hereby calling the meeting to order. If everybody could rise for the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance
to the flag
of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right. Pete, will you do the roll call?
Clerk Gialam is here, Supervisor Marask,
Here.
Trustee Jones,
Here.
Trustee McKenzie,
Here.
Trustee Carabota,
Here.
Trustee Sweeney.
Trustee Sweeney, you're here, right?
Susan's here. She's muted.
Oh,
I unmuted. It's okay. I unmuted you.
yeah, I don't know how I got muted. I was unmuted before.
All right.
Okay.
Unmute you. All right. So, is there any public participation at this moment? All right. Hearing none, we are going to move into the approval of the minutes of the September 22nd, 2020 board meeting. Can someone who is
Motion to approve the minutes of the September 22nd board meeting.
Second,
Waive the reading.
second.
having a motion and a second? Any discussion, changes, corrections, deletions? Hearing none, Clerk Gilamas, can you call the roll?
Supervisor Marask,
Abstain.
Trustee Jones,
Yes.
Trustee McKenzie,
Yes.
Trustee Carabota,
Yes.
Trustee Sweeney.
Yes.
All right, next order of business before we get to the agencies is discussion and vote on resolution 2020-6 for additional interim monies to be immediately paid to the agencies previously approved for funding in December 2019. Additional supplemental coronavirus relief as presented by Trustee Dave Carabota.
Thank you.
Trustee Carabota.
Thank you. I move for approval of the resolution. Should I read it into the record?
You can waive the reading.
I can waive the reading.
Yeah, I mean, just state, it's, approximately what it is.
What it is that the board has been recognizing the need of our community who we assist through 501c3 charity services and nonprofit organizations to provide services to our community that we fund every year. We funded a certain amount, about $430,000 in December. But after December, of course, we had COVID hit in February. There were a lot of challenges in our community. So we came up with a resolution. The board passed my first resolution, I believe, back in June, where we gave an additional 10% to the charities and 501c3s to help our community, which was $43,000, distributed the way the $435,000 was distributed in December, percentage-wise, as the board had done. In September, I came back again with a second resolution as the board was discussing the need to help our charities and our 501c3s to help our community with those services, including alcohol rehabilitation, drug use challenges and abuse that are occurring, financial challenges, rent challenges, care challenges that our community is having. The board came back again in September saying, looking at another 10%. At that time, the board passed a 5%, initially a 5% portion. That was about $22,000. And this resolution now would go ahead and give the rest of that second 10% additional payment, which comes to $21,000. And the only amendment I would do is on page 3, the last paragraph after the number $22,000, first paragraph on page 3, I would just delete the rest of that paragraph. It seems to be superfluous. And the resolution would award actually $21,500 to be immediately remitted to these agencies proportionate to the monies allocated to each of the approximate $435,000 by this board back on December 16 of 2019.
So you're gonna amend it to stop right before the word thereby, correct?
It would stop right after the word, right after 22,000.
Right, but then you're not, I don't know that it's clear.
Oh, I'm
that we're
sorry.
Now giving them 21.5.
I would say you're correct, Laura. It would be, I would go from the word with to the end of that paragraph, had, period, and just delete that language. The rest, you're correct. The rest would stay.
Yeah. Right. All right, okay.
I stand corrected.
No problem. I just
thank
want to
you.
make sure we're on the same page. So it's 21.5 additional. And you're deleting thereby allowing for the procedure to amend the budget because we don't need to do that.
Right.
So that's all deleted. And with that amendment, I will second that.
Can I get clarification, please? Maybe recognize?
Can I just second first and then we can open it for discussion?
Oh, okay, but I want to make sure I understand what's being seconded here. So it is going to read, the board decided to agree to a payout of 22,000, and we are continuing here with the express understanding?
What we're doing is the word with, start there, and then to the end, the word had, period, is deleted.
And the word had, where is that?
Which is the last word of that paragraph right before the period. I can read it. With the express understanding that this current budget would be completed and presented at the
Resolution.
October resolution would be completed and presented at the October board meeting for discussion and vote as the remaining $21,500, thereby allowing for the procedure to be amended, budget to accommodate this additional distribution to be had. So
Okay.
from with to had is out.
From with to had, where's with?
With is right after 22,000, the second $22,000.
Okay,
So
so
let
what
me-
it's saying is the board decided to agree a payout of 22,000 to be had. That's
To
how,
be had, correct.
okay, so that is an additional 22,000.
I thought it was 21.5. I'm a little confused now.
What I'm saying there is just if we go from, it would be line 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, beginning line 6, first paragraph, last page, from 22, the figure 22,000, that word with,
Mhm.
all the way to the end,
Oh,
had,
with the
period,
remaining, okay.
is gone. Right. Now
Well, you want the
and
number in, don't you? The 21.
as Laura was saying, we got to leave in the now, therefore it's resolved. I can leave all that in.
Right, but my question is, don't you want the number of 21.5? Because I thought
Right, that's right,
that's what I'm trying to stay in, because you gave them 22 at the.
right. Now we're giving them,
Now we're giving them 21.5.
Right.
Right.
right,
So you need that number in.
Right, and that number is in section 1, out of the now, therefore. So in other words, from the word with after the 22,000,
Okay.
from with the express understanding that this
Mhm.
current resolution would be completed and presented at the October board meeting for discussion and vote as to the remaining 21.5, thereby allowing for this procedure to amend the budget to accommodate this additional distribution to be had. Those words are all out.
Right, so just strike it.
Correct.
Okay,
Okay.
where are you? I think that if I may make a suggestion, that the board decided to agree to a payout of 22,000 with the expressed understanding that 21,500 would be addressed in this resolution or something.
Yeah, okay, I would accept, you're correct. Yeah,
Because that's what you're trying to say. It has to match the first
That's
paragraph.
correct, right.
So
right,
it would
so-
read, the board decided to agree to a payout of 22,000 with the express understanding that the remaining 21.5 would be passed at the next meeting or whatever. I don't know what language you want. I mean,
That's absolutely fine.
so with the expressed understanding that this current resolution would be completed and presented how about at the next agency funding meeting? Because that's where we did it, right?
yeah,
That's fine.
All right, at the agency funding meeting. For discussion and vote as to the remaining 21.5, period, because you don't need a budget. You don't need to do anything to the budgets. The
Okay.
money's there. Is that okay with you, Dave?
Yeah, with you doing all the work, that's fine with me.
Here's how it would read, guys. No, you did, I appreciate it. Whereas the Maine Township Board heard the above issues on September 22, 2020, and was prepared to pass a resolution for the full approximately 43.5. But due to the need of having to go through a procedure to amend the budget, I'm not quite sure why that is in there, to allow for same if a payout were to be had for an amount over 22 at that time, and to avoid delay in disbursement of said funds, the board decided to agree to a payout of 22 with the expressed understanding this current resolution would be complete and presented agency funding for discussion and vote as to the remaining 21 funds. Period.
That would be the resolution as amended, and then I believe, Laura, then you're seconding that?
I'm seconding that, and then it's open to discussion, and I think trustee Sweeney had some,
Oh, no, I made my comments. So if that's,
okay,
yeah, so we
Thank
paid out I guess I will say something now though. So we paid out the 43,500, we paid out the 22,000, and now we're paying out the 21,500.
no, we paid
No.
out, no. The 43.5 was divided into two pieces. Paid out the 22, and we sent them payments in October. We are now doing 21.5.
Right.
Okay. so
Wait, I thought we
Richard,
sent,
I thought we paid the 43.
me too. I thought that we,
9%.
the first time that Dave made a proposal, he asked for a 10% across the board increase to what we had already passed as a board. And so we originally gave out 435,000. And then we passed a resolution to give out the additional 10% Dave proposed of 43,000, might have been 500, yes.
Right.
And then Dave made a second proposed resolution for an additional 10%. And that's when we said, but we only had $500,000 budgeted for agency funding. So we can't go over that without doing some kind of an amendment.
Okay.
Right. That's
So-
what happened.
Okay, but let me read the minutes from your meeting. Trustee Carabota pointed out that the motion to adopt Resolution 2020-3 is incorrect, saying that the payout is changed from 43.5 to 22,000. He stated it was said that the 22,000 was adopted temporarily, subject to presenting a second resolution for the other 21.5, along with an adjustment to the budget to allow.
No,
That's
but
what
I think, excuse me, I think Claire's talking about the meeting prior to that one.
Yeah, but that's a separate, like, that's not what Dave's
Right.
talking about in the minutes
But-
of September. I don't think.
But we
You're right,
were
you're right.
saying that, I didn't think that that's what Dave had, I didn't think that's what we had agreed on. And so we tabled it so that we could all watch the video. Dave sent us an email with the precise video location. I watched it. I don't see where we said we were going to amend the budget.
You don't need to
So-
amend the budget. It's just a line item transfer. That's why I wasn't there, so I didn't get that email, but I'm saying you don't need to amend the budget.
But
Okay, but where are we going to
Yeah, we're
come up with
taking that out.
21,500 from?
There's
Because-
overages in other line items.
So we have,
Trustee, I mean,
if I
Dave
can-
Berman.
yeah, if I can comment really quickly. So Claire, we do, first of all, I just want to make a comment that in our line item for the agency funding, if you look at the budget, it's actually not 500,000, it's 479,000.
Right.
I just want to clarify that. But as far as where is the money going to come from, we do have line items where there will be excess funds. Just for example, our marketing vendor, we did not replace. So we have 6 months worth of funds where the money will be for that. We also have a receptionist position where we did not replace this person. So
Mhm.
not just for salary, but also for benefits.
Mhm.
We have about a total of about $20,000 just for that position alone that we saved for about 6 months. And for the marketing vendor, 21,600 we're saving just in 6 months, not replacing that person.
Mhm.
So,
We've got many line Dana and I have gone over this. There are numerous line items, and it only if it's like if the entire fund, if you're trying to adjust over 10% of the entire fund,
right.
we're not even like remotely close to that.
No, not at all.
So,
I've got a couple other line items too, so I know we have.
right.
The
Right,
funds.
trustees, yeah, and I was not at the meeting, I did watch it, but I understood trustee Carabota, and feel free to be talking about splitting up the second group of payments,
Right.
if you will, into 2 payments. Am I right?
You're right.
Right, so we paid the 43.5, then we paid the 22,
No,
and now we're paying the 21.
Oh,
Richard,
no.
correct me if I'm wrong, but didn't you give a date when we paid that 10%? That 43.5?
that's totally,
I think the confusion is what Laura's indicating is that the 43.5, the first payment is we should really not discuss that here
right,
because it causes confusion.
correct.
We're
It has
talking about the
nothing
second,
to do with
the
it.
second 10%, as Claire was mentioning too, and I think Susan covered it too, that we're talking about just the second 43,000 that was split into an A and a B.
Right.
Right, this is B.
That is
The
correct.
original was the 28th of April is when the board
Right.
approved.
Oh,
it.
that's
Which has
right, that's right.
nothing to do with this.
Right.
Look, Richard, I said June. This is how fast this year's been going by. That's
Right.
it.
I think
Every
we
month
can-
feels
No,
like the same.
does
I think we
anybody
can call
else
it
have
vote
any?
because, I
I'm sorry.
like the way it's read. It's the amended, the way it's amended, and I think it makes sense to call the vote on this.
I do too. So, Clerk Gilam, is there any other discussion? Nothing? Clerk Gilamis, can you call the roll?
Supervisor Marask,
Yes.
Trustee Jones. Must be muted.
No?
Yes, yes.
There, we got you. Okay. Trustee
Okay.
McKenzie,
My internet connection.
Yes.
Trustee Carabota,
Yes.
and Trustee Sweeney.
Yes. Thank you,
No,
Trustee Carabota, for
And
making.
thank you to the board. I appreciate all the time and effort to get this done.
All right, now we're going to move to the agencies. Bronca, would you like to introduce the first agency?
All right, so our first agency, we have Angelica Schaub with the District 63 Foundation Expanded Learning.
All right.
Good evening.
Good evening.
I'd like to thank you for the opportunity to speak to you this evening, and I'd also like to take a moment to express our gratitude to the township for their continued support, especially during and throughout this pandemic. The East Maine District 63 Educational Foundation exists to support programs at Expanded Learning. Expanded Learning began its 20th year offering quality childcare and enrichment opportunities, serving youth in East Maine School District 63 as well as in Maine Township. Programs at Expanded Learning provide youth in grades K through 8 enrichment in academically charged topics like STEAM, literacy, language development, and critical thinking skills. We also facilitate opportunities for youth to grow socially, emotionally, and build an awareness centered in community. Each day at Expanded Learning begins with a healthy snack. Afterwards, youth enjoy indoor or outdoor recreation time, which is followed by homework help, enrichment activities, and choice time. Participants are greeted warmly and build strong relationships with their adult staff as well as their peers. Throughout this challenging time, Expanded Learning continued to provide ways for the community to stay connected. In the summer of 2020, we offered a free virtual program that was accessible to everyone. We offered an option to have camp kits delivered contact-free to the campers' homes. Over the course of the summer, we assembled and delivered 164 summer camp kits. In the fall of 2020, as the school district made the decision to begin the year remotely, expanded learning needed to pivot from our usual after-school program model in order to serve our community best. In partnership with the district, we were able to offer remote learning care for students when a parent wasn't able to stay home and support remote learning. Understanding that the need for childcare goes above and beyond the end of the school day, expanded learning continued to offer after-school enrichment programs to those who needed it. Our program isn't just an after-school program or a remote learning program. We provide a place where a child can find a safe space to complete her remote learning while her mother works. It's where children get a lunch, breakfast, and a snack. It's where they can socialize with their peers instead of being isolated inside. It's where trusted adults are around for guidance and support, and a place where our community can count on. Our format has changed with COVID, but our level of commitment to youth in this community only grew. In addition to pivoting remote learning care and after-school programs, we were also able to offer classes in ballet and a virtual middle school program called Catalyst that focuses on peace, equity, and leadership. Navigating this pandemic has been challenging. Our program saw expenses increase in many areas, most notably in our direct service staff. With the need to create small pods of students and minimize any mixing of groups in all of our after-school programs, we needed more staff and more often. Support from the township helps to offset the cost of providing essential services to our community. In the 2019-2020 school year, from the beginning of the school year through to March when we suspended programming, we saw that 46% of all participants received some sort of scholarship. Today, close to 60% of our participants are receiving a scholarship. This pandemic has hit our families and our community hard, and we anticipate that as the year continues, more and more families will be in need of some sort of financial assistance. Continued support from the township will help us meet those needs and our community's needs as we continue to provide quality enrichment programming and childcare services to those that need us, regardless of their financial situation. Thank you for your time.
Thank you. I do have a couple questions. It does seem that we've had our, as you know, ups and downs with the District 63. So I just need to, because it doesn't address, it says we are your only source of funding. Is Scott, is ELF off? Is the foundation gone?
The foundation is not gone. It is in a transition. If you remember, I came on board in 2019.
Right.
2020, the pandemic. So as we were building ways to increase our sources of fundraising, certainly that was off track at the moment, but there is a plan to build on our fundraising efforts.
Well, but that's not exactly my question. My question was before, when Brian Williams was there and previous with Pam, we were actually funding portions of salaries that went to pay his salary. And so I believe it was separated, right? And it seems that way. So when you say we are your only source of funding, like that didn't, like if I look at last year's packet, that is absolutely not the case. Is that really true?
For the sake of the foundation and the foundation support of the expanded learning programs, you are not our only source of funding. There are, there's funding that we receive through state grants as well as.
Yeah, I think we do need that spelled out because then it would make, if I could request an addendum to this, because you actually do say that the agency's total budget is $45,000 and the amount requested from Maine Township is $40,000. I don't think that's actually, no offense to you, I don't think that's accurate. at least from the financials we've had all the other years.
Well, clarify, the last year's information had two budgets. It had expanded learning's budget, which is which is part of the school district now, and it had the educational foundation's budget, which are two separate things. So in the past, expanded learning, TLC, existed on its own with the foundation. And the decision was made that the school district would support expanded learning as a program within the school district, and the foundation would act to support scholarships and funding for expanded learning programming.
So, you said you do get money from state grants, right?
Yes.
For what you're seeking our funding for, is it? I don't want to put words in your mouth, is it?
No, so we receive grants, well, it's really childcare payments from state subsidized childcare for Action for Children, which is different because not every student qualifies for Action for Children, but many students do still qualify for some sort of financial assistance. And so that is what we are seeking funding for, is to help offset the cost for those students who require additional financial assistance.
That's what we're seeking funding now?
Correct. And what we've been using funding for.
Okay, so is there still an after-school program, basketball, the trailer, is any of that like happening? I mean, obviously with the schools being like,
yeah, so there is not a basketball program currently because we are in a COVID-like situation.
Right.
There is an after-school program. We still offer that. So we have students that participate in remote learning care throughout the day.
Mhm.
And then we still provide that after-school piece.
Your child care is attractive. So are you saying you offer child care to parents who need to go to work? I mean, that's where I'm a little unclear in this.
Yeah, so in partnership with the school district,
Mm.
we were able to do that, to offer childcare during the school day for parents who needed to work. However, we are not seeking funding for that. That we did with partnership with the school district.
What are we seeking funding?
For the after-school programs and for scholarship for students who require additional financial assistance.
So does that mean that 40% of the students do not have a scholarship and 60% do? Is that what you were saying?
Yes.
Okay. And how many students are there for after school and before school?
So there's no before school at the moment because of the way that our hybrid schedule is being run. But in after school right now, we have about 50 students staying until 5 o'clock, and then about 20 students staying beyond that.
I'm confused. You have 50 students staying beyond in remote learning.
We have 50 students staying beyond the school day. So they are there from 2:30 until at least 5 p.m.
In person?
Yeah, thank you. That's what I'm trying to get at. Yes.
Yeah. In person.
I think there was a comment here that e-learning, that you're helping with e-learning and independently while being supervised by adults. I think that might be a little bit, just to clarify that's done with teachers, correct?
Right, and that is a good question. So that's another, yeah.
That is all done during the day, and that is funded, as it sounds like, as you just said, by District 63, not by expanded learning.
It's funded by both. Well, it's a partnership. We're not seeking funding, to clarify, for that. Again, and that is a free service that we are offering to students. So we are not seeking funding for that. We are seeking funding for the after school piece, which is a paid program so that families who do need financial assistance could continue to participate.
How does the after school program help financial assistance, I guess, is where I'm missing something.
The after school program is a paid program, so parents need to pay us for the service. And sometimes parents don't have the financial ability to pay the full fees. And because of that, we work with them and provide some sort of scholarship to relieve those fees for them.
What
But
are
what
the
are
fees
you
for after
paying?
school?
Because you don't have teachers that you're paying.
Right, but they used to, they were paying $74. I mean, that was our big problem with them, was that they were paying teachers instead of college kids and volunteers. That's, remember when Brian Williams, like, that's what we, is that still happening? I mean, I guess that, I don't know if I'm the only one having this question.
No, I'm with you.
Okay, so our after school program is staffed in person by a variety of people. Some are teachers, some are not teachers, some are college students. And they are who staff the after school programs with the students.
Right, that's sort of not a good, I mean, it doesn't give us a good feel as to the amount of money or, and you know, Susan, I know you always recuse yourself, but I want your opinion of this.
Well, I'm asking questions. I still have some questions that I'm not really aware of. What are the fees typically for after school? What is a straight fee without assistance?
So in your packet, you would have had the sliding fee scale. For
The
the,
second to the last page.
yeah, so those are the
Yeah,
fees.
I do see that. Yeah.
Those
And
are
what
the-
are the salaries for the people working there? What salaries do you pay?
Right, you need a breakdown of that, of the
But
teachers
You
versus
don't,
college.
it says there are no salaries paid. That
Right.
it's all volunteers.
But that's not accurate.
volunteers. The,
So I think you have to come back to us with a real budget.
I agree.
so the foundation does not pay for the salaries of the employees. The foundation supports the scholarships of the students attending expanded learning programs.
I thought that's what you were seeking from us,
Correct.
but the more
The
separate.
foundation, it's just why the foundation is applying for the funding.
You said that again, foundation does not pay for the salaries?
Correct.
So the salaries get paid from?
Yes.
The district. The foundation supports the programs that expanded learning offers.
Okay, so the salaries get paid by District 63
Correct.
or after school?
Correct.
Okay. So
But so then I don't understand
I
why you
don't understand either. I
why
really,
you didn't list the salaries regardless.
Yeah, but there's no expenses. We are
Edu-
not shown what your expenses are.
The educational foundation that is requesting the funding from the township.
I know, but that was a workaround, no offense. That was a workaround that was done, because we didn't want to pay Scott, his salary. And because we didn't want to pay teacher salaries to watch kids after school. And that is how it used to be. You've only been there since 2019, right? And I'm sure our board remembers, you know, like, I mean, if you look at the history of the funding, you can see it. So the workaround was to have the foundation do it, I think. Except that it appears you're asking us for the same thing. I think that's where Claire and I are, or at least I'm confused.
Yeah, I feel like it's one hand going to the other hand.
Exactly.
I don't see
Exactly.
where the expenses are.
Right.
Me too.
Yeah, I'm confused also.
So what I would suggest is, I do think we need a new packet because you can't like basically say because the foundation's applying that none of this other stuff exists. Because by us giving you money, that would reduce the foundation having to spend that money. And I think that's where Claire and I are going. And so it's more like the input output. And, you know, on the money, and you said there are teachers, but we're not paying for it. So I'm a little, I don't think Dave's question was,
I think what she's saying is the district, if I heard you correctly, District
Pays them.
63 pays for for the teachers.
but then
Right, so what are their expenses?
But I think there are salaries that are like, you didn't fill anything out for the annual salary of the employees, like we always see.
Right.
And that should be in here
Correct.
unless you're saying the district pays those. So the annual salary of the highest paid full-time employees, are you asking for funding for that?
Nope. We are, as was specified in the application, that we are asking for funding to support scholarships for
Just
students.
scholarships. Okay, I'm just getting clarification, just scholarships. Okay. And
Yeah, but we don't know where that scholarship money is going. Where is
Right.
it being applied?
to low income students is what you're, right? So 60%, she said, they're getting scholarships as opposed to 48% before. So the clip level to get a scholarship or to be reimbursed, if I understand this correctly, I'm just looking at the amounts. It's elementary is it tier 1, tier 2, or tier 3? I don't know. $973 is for after school. Is that?
So that would have been the before school for elementary students.
Okay, so what we're under right now is the, is the after school program. So what is the actual fee for after school and before, as it stands in the COVID environment now?
Right.
No,
Well-
I'm asking a question, yeah.
yeah, I agree with your
So
question.
for the winter session for 15 weeks, it's a 15-week duration. It's the length of time that of the second trimester. It is $503 for the beginning of the after school program.
Okay, and what qualifies somebody to get a scholarship? What,
It starts on whether they receive free or reduced lunch, whether they receive a fee waiver through the school district. So they have to qualify between these metrics to receive those. And then some families require more than that. So then that is a conversation that happens on an individual basis with financial documentation and things like that.
so do they have to, like, we have a 200% of poverty level? Is there a,
I think it's 300.
or 300? Is there a certain percentage of?
Do you follow those guidelines?
That was my question too.
We follow the guidelines that that the federal government sets for what ranges based on family income and family size.
Yep, I guess I'm missing, because I see the tier 1, tier 2, tier 3 fees, but I'm not, unless I'm missing it, I'm not clear on how those are set and what the criteria is for those fees.
So
I think that's what Trustee Sweeney was just asking.
And then Trustee Moran, I mean Supervisor Moran too.
Yeah.
Where are you getting $40,000 as the amount for scholarships for expanded learning programs? Where is that figure coming from?
well, that is our request.
Why,
So
you
tier
have it listed as an expense, under expenses, on your budget, on your projected budget, under donations. I understand it's your request. But how did you figure it out, I guess?
And what's the basis for it?
Right,
Like, how many scholarships are you planning on giving, or how many,
right.
like, how many of our township kids are currently in need of scholarships?
So 60% of the kids
I
participating.
know, but you didn't give us
But you
any of the
didn't-
underlying figures. You haven't given us your financial statements. We don't know how many kids are in tier 1, tier 2, tier 3.
Right.
Like you have to give us a little bit more information, a lot more information on how you're coming up with your request. I mean, it's a lot of money.
Yeah,
Right.
we really have no idea. I mean, because it's remarkably different than any other year. and it has no information. Trustee Jones.
And also, are they all full scholarships? Are some of them partial scholarships? I mean, are they scholarships for more than one program or just one program?
And
Because
what
you're
I'm
All
doing
for
to
the
pile
after-school
on,
program, right?
Oh, they're all.
Pardon?
They're all for the after-school program. So only the line items that show AS in front of them are the ones that we would be asked to fund, correct?
Currently, yes.
what
However,
does that mean?
Yeah, if I take 60% of 50 students that are there and then multiply that times 503, if we gave them full scholarship for 60%, that would be $15,000.
Right,
Is
so
that right?
that's,
And I know you said you have some after too, but
well, it's also per session. So there's a fall session, a spring session, and a winter session. So
okay. So that's one of the 3 15-week sessions.
correct. So if you factor in scholarships,
Okay, so it would be 3 times that amount.
Well, so did you do this calculation?
yeah, who did this, Pat?
so I didn't do the calculation when I sent in the application because it wasn't there. These numbers these are real numbers that I'm giving you right now from the current sessions. And so that is right now.
You know, I do see that if we did 3 sessions, $15,090. I mean, if you gave full scholarships is what you're calling it for 60% of the people, 50 people, every session, that would be $15,090 a session. 15,000 times 3 is 45,000.
Sure.
Is that sort of what
Right,
you?
but we're asking where that comes from. Like, where are we getting the number of the amount? I understand, Susan, what you're saying, like 60%, but there's nothing to back it up. There's no documents.
Yeah, I mean, I think the question too is like, okay, so why 60% of kids are getting it because they're at poverty level? Is that fair to say? Is that what you're saying? They're
60% of kids are getting a scholarship based on whether they receive free or reduced lunch, or they have a fee waiver, or they require additional support because there's a variety of different situations that can come up.
Those are different things.
Yeah, I don't know what it takes to receive, how that compares, a free or reduced lunch, as it compares
Right.
to poverty level. I don't know.
It doesn't. It's different.
Okay.
I don't mean to get, here's what I would suggest, because we are like, have a lot of people. And I know this is your first year, I think, presenting. Here. What?
It's my second.
Were you alone last year?
Yes.
But didn't we ask to fund something else? I mean, I don't remember this at all. Like,
I thought the principal was with last year.
yeah.
Or yeah.
And it wasn't by the foundation. It was different. But I'll pull it out. So what I would suggest is, and I think the board, I think we need a budget. I mean, I think we need numbers. I think we need to know what the salaries are of the foundation. I mean, because really what we pay in scholarships is going to make it so that the foundation doesn't have to, right?
Correct.
Okay. So that would be relevant. And there's like just no numbers here. There's nothing, at least in my opinion. There's nothing, like Susan Sweeney said, I can't figure out what the criteria, originally you said it was poverty level or 300% of poverty level, but you just named 4 other criteria that are different.
Okay.
Right.
So, we can earmark, like we can do that. But we really need to know, like, what are the number of the actual people who are, for speaking for myself, I would only do the scholarships for people that qualify under the poverty level. because that's consistent with what we do with other agencies. But I don't know. I mean, the board might feel different. And while I go get a glass of water, does anybody want to tell Angelica any other numbers they would like?
Can I just ask really quick? You might have covered this, just super quick. I know we have to move on. You said your budget is 45,000,
Mhm.
but then on question 27, where you're counting our funding, which is 19.5, and then private donors. So what's the rest of where's the rest of the 45,000?
Well, so this is the projected budget based on this coming year. This is the budget based on this year.
Okay, so that, assuming that you're getting the request, what you're requesting from us for, okay.
Which doesn't really make a lot of sense. And that's, I think, what we're saying. Like, we are never your only budget.
Mhm.
And we don't, not to cut you off, but we also don't ever give you guys everything you request.
Well, yeah, that hasn't happened in quite a few years.
Right.
But, you know, we're all evolving and it's a unique year. But we do also want, you know, like where you're getting the grant, what grant, you know, the sources of revenue from state, or any other townships that you've gone to, or sources of funding, and that type of thing. This is not a complete, in my opinion, package that we can make an intelligent decision on. So you want to say, like, how long would you need, Angelica?
2 weeks.
That's fine.
Okay.
Just turn it in the red. And then if any trustee, you know, Rich can send it to me or send it to everybody, and then we can all.
Yeah, that would be great. That would be great.
And really more thorough is better.
Perfect. Thank you.
Sorry.
Thanks, Angelica.
Thank you.
Thanks,
so much.
Angelica.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Now, before we move on, I really hate to do this. You know, we voted on trustee Carabota's ordinance. I forgot to do the vote on the minutes. So I'm going back to this for a minute. I need someone to make a motion to approve the board minutes for the, you guys held up.
22nd. I make a motion to
Yeah.
approve the board minutes for September 22nd.
And is there a
Second.
second? All right, having a motion and a second. Is there any?
We
I
did
think we
this
voted
I
already.
could have
on it.
sworn we did this though.
We did vote on it.
No, we didn't vote on the minutes.
Yes,
we did.
Yes,
Over.
we did.
We
did.
did.
The issue you sent me in the agenda that I had to do that.
Yes, but we
No,
did.
no. On the very beginning.
I did not do that.
Did
I
it?
voted on.
Yes, we
David.
did.
Yes, we did.
We
Yeah.
did vote on the minutes.
I recall doing it. Yes.
Okay.
If
Yeah.
not, I made the motion. Okay, if for some reason that got X'd out, I made a motion to get a second. So.
All right. Yes, I wrote this big note to myself. All right.
That's because you were helping it so much on the resolution. See? Right.
All right. So we'll say we did.
Okay.
Next is the harbor. Or Bronca, would you like to introduce the next agents?
All right, so next up we have Jessica Wright and Terry Sajik with the Harbor Incorporated.
Good evening. My name is
Hi,
Terry
sorry
Sajik.
for the delay.
No problem. I'm the government grants manager with the Harbor, and joining me is Jessica Wright, our program director. And first of all, we just want to thank Maine Township for your support over the years. I know the township has been one of our community supporters for, I think, over 25 years. So we certainly do thank you for that. And we also like to express our gratitude for supporting us with the supplemental funds in light of the challenges of the pandemic. As you may know, the Harbor provides emergency shelter, transitional housing, and supportive services to homeless youth in the north and northwest suburbs. This coming year, we'll be celebrating our 50th anniversary, and we continue to evolve our programs to meet the changing needs of youth. Our Safe Harbor Emergency Shelter provides short-term shelter, crisis intervention, and case management to youth ages 12 to 20. Youth come to our shelter after being locked out or running away to escape severe family dysfunction, parental substance abuse, or mental health issues. Crisis intervention successfully reunites the majority of youth with their families, but when that's not possible, we work with the youth to locate another safe placement, which may be our own transitional housing known as Youth in Transition. We have two phases within Youth in Transition. Phase 1 provides supervised living in a home-like setting to girls ages 16 to 23 as they finish high school, work part-time, and learn skills to live independently. Most youth will transfer to phase 2 during their last 6 months in the program, in which we provide a declining rent subsidy and case management to youth as they live in their own apartment. Similar to phase 2 of Youth in Transition, our Successful Teens Effective Parents, or STEPS program, provides specialized supportive services and a declining rent subsidy to pregnant and parenting youth in their own apartments. Most of what I've mentioned so far revolves around housing, but we really do provide much more than that. In addition to a safe place to live, we're a place to find support, learn, and grow. Many of our youth have not had positive role models when it comes to money management, and a lot of them are in need of credit repair assistance. We provide an 8-hour curriculum on financial literacy to youth, with groups throughout the year on topics like credit management, identity theft, banking, and tax prep and filing. Staff helps youth develop a spending plan each week and provides monthly coaching around budgeting and saving. We monitor youth's credit scores monthly and help youth build and repair their credit. Our CPA accountant also teaches a session on tax prep each year. The challenges of this year certainly weren't anticipated, but we're proud to report that we've continued uninterrupted services and have adapted our efforts to ensure the health and well-being of youth and staff. To achieve this end, we're providing PPE and health and wellness supplies to youth, and we've hired Cintas to provide hospital-grade cleaning and disinfection of our sites. One of the challenges that we've had is that we can no longer conduct outreach in the same way that we had been. Previously, this consisted of a lot of presentations to large groups, and most notably referrals from schools. Unfortunately, with many schools still being remote, we've been receiving less referrals from schools as it's more difficult for teachers and school social workers to identify at-risk youth without the in-person interactions. So to ensure that we're still reaching youth, we've launched Harbor Connect, a mobile outreach unit designed to distribute basic necessities and act as an entry point to our more intensive services. And we continue to work within the community to secure places where we can set up scheduled hours for our mobile unit to be. As many youth have lost employment due to the pandemic, we increased rent support to youth in their own apartments. And to address mental health needs, our therapist has provided therapeutic Zoom groups. We are also excited to announce that we were recently awarded funding from the Department of Justice to launch a transitional housing site for youth victims of human trafficking. And we're currently working towards launching that program.
So wait, you're awarded money from a federal agency?
That's correct, yes. We do have other federal grants as well.
Okay.
It's really through, it's okay. It's only through our community partners like Maine Township that we've been able to adapt in the way that we have been and continue to grow our programs. And we thank you for your past support and of course the opportunity to apply again this year. And we're happy to answer any questions that you might have.
Where just
Trustee Sweeney.
is the for the trafficking housing site, do you have that location, or are you adding to what you already have? I know you're doing something to rebuild your Harbor House emergency shelter. So it's not, where is that new housing going to be for this, or for the new clientele that you're going to have?
Yeah, for this specific site, we have secured housing. It's a home in Elk Grove. And it will house 4 youth, be supervised 24 hours a day. We've been working with Cook County SVU. We're also a part of the Cook County Human Trafficking Task Force.
Wow.
And have several MOUs and partner agencies through that task force, you know, for obvious safety reasons and, you know, things like that. So we can be, you know, as educated as we possibly are.
Is
we
MOU
ask-
mobile units? Is that what MOU?
Memorandum of understanding.
Oh, I'm sorry, the legal terminology. Okay. I was thinking about the mobile units. Okay.
So we estimated before we applied for this grant that 1 in 4 or 1 in 5 of our youth have been victims of trafficking, whether they acknowledged it or not. So we're already serving that population. This is just a more robust plan with more staff, therapists on site, more of those clinical groups, you know, life skills and, you know, obvious safety plans and things like that for the youth.
Okay. So will you grow if you can only take 4, it sounds like at this point for that house, right?
Yeah, so we're at 4. And then much like our youth in transition phase 1 and 2, if youth are ready and it's safe and appropriate for them to be in their own apartments, we have space for 2 youth to be in their own apartments at a time.
Yeah,
as
that's
well.
what I was going to ask about. So for the phase 1, I think you said it was 16 to 23. There's only a couple of those people that are actually in housing units. Is that right? And you just help
Yeah.
them?
So the phase 1, we've got 2 different locations. One is in Schaumburg, one is in Des Plaines. It's 9 beds between the 2 sites that those youth can live in. They're generally there between 9 and 12 months. Obviously, because of COVID and job instability and things like that, they've been there a little bit longer on average. But once they reach, again, their savings, they're working, they're going to that phase 2 apartment living, which we have 2 youth currently in phase 2, which it's been quite some time since we've had youth, especially during a pandemic, able to sustain that. One of the youth that we have there, really a success story. She came to the shelter. She moved here from Liberia in 2nd grade and lived with grandma. Grandma's her only family here, but had been emotionally and physically abusive to her. So she found us when she was 18. She had graduated high school. We worked with her to secure employment. She's been working at a local hospital now for almost a year. And has $8,000 plus in savings.
Wow.
It's crazy. And she manages to pay her rent. Because of COVID, we have done a lot of rental support for both our pregnant and parenting, and also for those youth in transition phase 2. Because she was in a hospital setting, we wanted to make sure she was safe. So we Ubered a lot of our youth during the beginning stages of COVID to and from so they could be as safe as possible. Like Terry said, we've continued to kind of run as usual. We're seeing different youth. We had a big cluster of youth who their colleges closed unexpectedly and they had nowhere to go. So we had a lot of youth in like April when the colleges closed either come back to us or come to us for the first time. So we're really trying to be creative, as is everyone else, which with that Harbor Connect, we've really been able to link. We have dates secured with Chicago Behavioral Health on every other Wednesday. They're going to allow us to come there and distribute PPE to the families. We've got a few townships that we're doing the same, as well as some local departments who have agreed to carry our PPE in their vehicles and distribute to youth or people experiencing as well.
Wow. So you still, I know your last fiscal year, you had 134 youth and 12 children of youth. What does that mean? What's the difference there? 134 youth and 12 children of youth. Is it still the same amount roughly? Does that mean 134 plus 12? Oh, children of youth. So
Yes.
you're talking about, yeah, children of youth, like under 18. Okay. Do you expect this, the same amount this year or?
So I think initially we had that flux. What we're seeing is that other shelters are closed, their capacity is lower. So we're seeing youth stay longer. So I think we'll probably see that number decrease, but the days of youth have been served increase. We've really lowered our barriers to make sure that we're not just putting kids back on the street with absolutely nowhere to go. So we want to make sure that everybody is safe, but still has a longer term plan.
Okay. I just have one other quick question. I just want to understand that harbor, that mobile unit, is it
So
literally?
to answer the question, I think it's.
What? Pardon me? Am I
I
connected?
think her screen was frozen and then played what she was saying.
Sorry, I think
Oh, okay.
I'm
So is the mobile
I'm
unit,
freezing up over here too.
is it actually like a van or something? What is your mobile unit? Is that a physical mobile unit?
Yeah, so it's our harbor van. We call it the Harbor Mobile. So it's just a harbor van. We have our Harbor Connect logo that will be on the side, and we have totes of different types of toiletries, and then complete toiletry bags, PPE, things like that.
And do you do like your counseling out of that with your therapists or?
So right now, the therapist isn't involved in that. We do, our intake person, our intake and outreach has an iPad that they can link people to resources if they're looking for something outside of housing. So, we can help a multitude of people, but no therapist yet.
Okay.
Anybody else?
Nope.
All right. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Terry.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Stay safe. Good job.
Thank you.
Thank
Yeah.
you.
Veronica,
Thank
would you
you.
like to introduce the next?
Up next, we have Frederick Stupin with Resources for Community Living.
Well, good evening, everyone. How's everyone doing?
Hi. Good.
Hi.
How are you?
Good. Well, my name is Fred Stupin. I'm with Resources for Community Living. I'm the executive director here. I'd like to also thank Maine Township for your continued support of our organization. We've been in a relationship together since 2003, serving individuals in Maine Townships with developmental disabilities. We are approaching a very difficult time, and as everyone else, we appreciate the extra funding that we also received from you as well. What do? So our organization's goal is to work with these individuals to help them develop independently as much as possible. And how do we do this? So we do this by offering a number of services. Number one, we offer affordable housing options for them. So what we try to do is to really get housing that's affordable, that's in the community. We don't work much in group homes per se. We try to have the individuals live on their own. They may have a roommate if it's an apartment. We have some clients that have actually bought condominiums. So, we offer the affordable housing piece as a start. Number two, we provide vocational services. So again, our individuals that we serve are slightly higher functioning. Many of them are working. You'll see them in the community. They're either working in a jewel, they're potentially working from home. So this is an important piece for them to live independently, because if they are paying rent, only a portion of what they're getting from support from the state, let's say, is paying for the apartment or their mortgage. So the vocational piece is very important. Because of the pandemic, as we all are experiencing currently, we've been really monitoring a lot of our clients who are working in the community. And many of them work in food service, and they work in grocery stores. So this is a very, very high risk profession for them. And we've been monitoring them throughout this whole period, providing PPE materials for them, donation of masks and things of that nature. We have to really say that I'm glad that no one that we've been working with and is on our client base has been affected. So, I mean, that's, I think, a great, considering we have very, very little resources and staff to help in that. So the vocational piece, we made an adjustment, as I said. We are now providing some training. For example, one of Maine Township's clients, she's working part-time at Jewel, but we have started a micro business with her. She is working on embroidery. We have purchased a machine through a grant we received for her. She was able to open an ABLE account, which are special accounts now for people with disabilities, be able to save more and to develop businesses and support their housing as well. So that is something we're doing. And in Palatine, we have another individual that is also interested in doing a home-based business. So that's a new initiative for us. Third, we provide something called the Financial Independence Center. Now, this is actually something also newer with the passing of the ABLE Act, which is the savings account for people with disabilities. Individuals with disabilities are able to save more and actually use funding for their own purposes, as investing in housing or special technology, assistive technology for themselves. We provide the Financial Independence Center to offer them coaching on how to manage their money. Because they are working and they are functioning, many of them are in control of their finances. But as everyone else in our society, there are pitfalls. So we offer the financial coaching piece to assist them in navigating through the financial world that we have. We have a social group. The social group serves as, number one, really getting our clients into the community, enjoying the community, the things available in the community. Number two, it provides opportunities for them to meet others and to potentially find roommates if they're looking for a roommate. So it serves that purpose as well. So basically that's what we are doing. I'm open now for questions that you may have.
Anybody?
I'm just curious.
Yes, when you get a chance, I'll go next.
You sure?
Trust-
Yeah, go ahead.
I'm sure yours is a little more important than mine, but I was just wondering if you've seen your clients unfortunately lose work due to the pandemic, if that's been an issue, them trying to find work being an issue, things like that.
We've had, fortunately, many of them, again, are working in jobs that have basically still existing. For example, many of them worked in grocery stores, and you will see them, and they're pulling carts and things like that. So they've pretty much been employed. We've had a couple of situations where some of our clients are in workshops that are indoor. And in these cases, we have provided them some financial assistance. So we have a fund that provides some rent supports, and we have been able to help those, but it has not been many. So they've been very fortunate to not have a large job loss in this case.
Sure. Thanks for the info.
Austin, that was a very good question. I appreciate that. I just wanted to note that with all the work that you do, Frederick, which is greatly appreciated. I want to note that the three highest salaries, this is done with an executive director with a salary at 60,000, a supporting services coordinator for 49,400, an administrative assistant for $30,900, and which are quite conservative salaries. I'm sure you put in an awful lot more time and effort than that, and that's where real charity comes in, and I very much appreciate it.
Well, thank you. We try.
Anyone else? All right, thank you, Frederick.
Thank you. Have a great evening.
Thank you. Sorry for a little bit of delay. And Veronica, would you like to introduce our next?
So up next, we have Bob Okazaki, Jason Clark, and Kathy McCarthy with Avenues to Independence.
Hi, guys.
Hello.
Hello. Hi.
Can you hear us? I'm
Yep.
trying to get my
Yep.
video to work.
We can hear you, can't see it, but we can hear you.
Hello. Hello.
Now we can.
Good evening, everyone. Thank you very much for the opportunity to present the programs and services of Avenues to Independence. I have to make an announcement here, and some of you may have already seen it. I will be retiring from Avenues. Actually, I'm in transition right now.
I know.
And, shortly, I'll introduce Jason Clark, who is our new executive director, but the
Thank you
township.
for so many years of your service.
Yeah, you've been absolutely.
Thank you.
Years and decades. You've been amazing.
Yeah, Jason, you got big shoes to fill.
I certainly do. I certainly do.
I certainly want to thank the township for their support of Avenues during my entire tenure, and looking forward to having Jason make the presentations in the future, and maybe me just being an innocent bystander. Talk about what Avenues will continue to do in the future. I know, Jason, you want to say a few words real quick?
Sure. Nice to meet everybody, even if it's just virtually. So hopefully sooner rather than later, we'll all be able to actually look at each other in person. So that would be fantastic. It's a pleasure to be here. For those of you who didn't kind of see my announcement or whatever, I have been in the field for about 23 years. The last 6, I've been at Little City in Palatine. So as the chief program officer, I was over all of their adult services. So it's an honor to be where I'm at and talk to you guys. And I don't think I have to tell you guys that Avenues is a fantastic organization, and that I'm looking forward to kind of taking the ball from Bob and continuing to run. Some of my biggest goals are to kind of expand our community employment presence and to get more people out into community integrated work sites, to also work a little bit more with the special education for the transition age youth that are coming out, and to work with the autism population as well too, to get maybe some specialized services for that population, which is so sorely needed at this time, to bring in maybe behavior analysts and things like that to be able to go. So again, thank you for having me, and open any questions too. So
Thank you, Jason. Avenues is the predominant provider of disability support services for folks with autism, cerebral palsy, Down syndrome, and other intellectual, physical, and developmental disabilities in Maine Township. We have over 90, I think the last report we gave to Bronca was about 93 total individuals, 57 or so in our residential. And you may see our folks in and about town. We have group homes in Des Plaines, 2 group homes in Des Plaines, and homes in Park Ridge as well. And our folks are an integral part of the community. We were fortunate enough to be featured on Channel 11 earlier this year when the pandemic really was getting started. And we did have an outbreak of 5 individuals in one of our group homes coming down with the virus, and we had to pretty much do the whole lockdown, but staff did a wonderful job to mitigate any further spread. We had one staff person that was profiled on Channel 11 that spent essentially 14 straight days, 24/7, as the sole staff person supporting those individuals who were diagnosed. And again, knock on wood, we haven't had any further incidents. We are worried about what's going on right now, but we do have some experience under our belt now, and really have all the confidence that we can keep our folks safe going forward. We have some exciting news in terms of a new group home opening up on the west end of town, and I'll let Kathy McCarthy kind of talk a little about that, because she's been integral in helping us get that house off the ground. But suffice it to say that Avenues was born and raised in Maine Township. We've been here for 67 years, got our start in the basement of the Park Ridge Methodist Church. The community church kicked in, and we've had wonderful support, not only from the township, but the local, now the Park Ridge Community Fund, a lot of local donors. The people you see on our board and even staff are all local residents. So we are about as homegrown an organization as one can find. And suffice it to say that housing in this part of Illinois is not cheap. As a organization that was founded in here in Park Ridge and Des Plaines, we can't necessarily afford to acquire housing anymore. We've been here for a while, so we were able to get established early, but the last two houses that we were able to create group homes out of were donations to the organization. And that kind of tells you the scope of the support and what people think of our organization, and allows us to kind of continue to grow to support more people here in town. And so let me turn it over to Kathy McCarthy, who can tell you a little bit more about our newest venture in Park Ridge, and also is the person behind all the finances, and can give you a little bit of update on our budget as well.
Hello, everyone. It's so nice to see you guys. Thank you so much for your support over the years, and thank you for the opportunity to be here tonight. As Bob has alluded, we are super excited. We were given a home. The most recent home was a 3-bedroom home in Park Ridge, and with our donations, we were able to change 2 of the bedrooms into 2 more. So we made it a 5-bedroom home. Our 2 residents just moved in October 20th, and we're underway to get 3 more in. We're in the process of filling those spots. So it's so exciting to have this group home in Park Ridge. As Bob said, I am the director of finance. I've been with Avenues for 8 years. This has been an interesting year with everything that's been going on throughout the United States, the world, with COVID. We are fortunate that, as Bob said, we did have a small outbreak, but we were able to contain it. And even though we had 2 of our clients go to the hospital, they survived, and they're back living at home in our residential community. Now we're faced with challenges of our community day program that we offer. We just opened up in September, and we've slowly had returning clients from the community and our residential clients as well. And we just had to close it yesterday because we do have a positive case there. So those are some of the challenges that we're facing. What we've budgeted to have, the revenue, we're not going to, meet that this year with our $5.7 million budget. But we're trying to be creative and see what services we can provide virtually, remotely, to still service the needs of the individuals in the community. So, it has been an interesting year, but when you see that our residents are still able to get out in the community with this wonderful weather, it shows you that they're living their lives day to day. And when you see those faces and their smiles, you know that they're living independently the way they want to. I don't know if anyone has questions, but.
Well, I just wanted to add that we're also fortunate to be able to help the township out. Not only does the township support the people of Avenues, but we try and have them give back. We've been involved in your agency day training seminars for as long as they've been going on. And the student government days are really,
my favorite.
Yes, wonderful opportunities for the kids to come out and learn about programs like ours and the daycare that they go out on tour, but also to participate in the student budget hearings where you have a group of students that represent Avenues and the other organizations that you've been hearing from not only tonight, but the other nights that you've been doing these hearings. And they really get into it. And
boy, do they ever.
the fact that we're here in town allows the township high schools to come out and visit and see firsthand how the support from the township is going to take care of our residents with disabilities, many of which have come through the local township special ed program. And you have to think that people move here because we have good school systems, and that includes families who have kids with disabilities. And those kids grow up, and at Avenues, we try and do our best to ensure that as many of those individuals can get support through our day, job placement, home base, and residential programs. And so we are fortunate to have the support of the township and the local community to ensure that despite what's going on in the rest of the world, our programs are still financially stable. And we look forward to working with everybody to ensure that there's another at least 67 years of service that we can provide for township folks. So as Kathy said, we're open to any questions that you might have on our services, the new group home, how COVID's impacted us.
I actually do.
Barb, I have to tell you that at Student Government Day, they always come up with the exact same amounts. That it's like wild. It is really wild. They are so good. I mean, it's amazing. But I think you're just fabulous. So congratulations on your retirement.
Well, thank you very much.
Yeah,
Appreciate it.
congratulations.
And not to mention, one of your residents would always volunteer for our Mainstreamer program.
Right.
He would always check in when we were having in-person programs. So he would walk from one of the residents to the township. So we really kind of miss him as well.
Well, then that's what I talk about when our folks are given the opportunity. They are as much participating in the community as anybody else. And to have an opportunity like that, I think is really important. Just shows how if we can integrate folks with disabilities, they're like everybody else and they want to give back wherever they can. I also want to mention that we have a thrift shop that's right on the border of Park Ridge off of Tui. And we've had that available when the township or the local community has human service task force types of needs, that if there are folks who run into issues, we can give them a voucher so that to help them get back on their feet. And so we try and be as much a part of the community because the community's been really good for our folks. And I just think that it is important all around, not only individually giving back like our participant does, but as an organization wherever we can.
Well, Bob, did you say that you're going to be staying at least of council here to kind of overlook everything and
as long as
cause as much trouble as you can?
That'll last through one fishing trip.
It's almost impossible to walk away when you've been here. My 43rd year, going into 44th, I've been the exec for 37 years. And so I try and provide as much counsel as I can. And I think Jason does have a good head start. He knows all about the programs. It really is about the relationships we have with folks like you and the other supporters of the organization that I think I'll provide most of my counsel for Jason and the organization going forward.
Kathy had mentioned that, you know, you're concerned about the revenue and shortfall. So I just wanted to ask, because I'm concerned about you from that perspective too. And with the state of Illinois, I see that a good portion of your funding comes from almost 3 million. Are you concerned about that? Is that, you know, is that where you're going to have shortfall, or what areas do you, and I see you get a good amount from the thrift stop. I will say one other thing, Bob, that is my #1 donation place for my clothing and goods out of my house. I go right to that. I love that thrift shop. It's great.
Thank you very much.
So,
Yeah, thank you, Susan.
Yes, so right now we've already seen the shortfall for September and October. We're down 125,000 with revenue, and we've done a projection through the end of the fiscal year, and that'll be about $600,000. That just with, we're not able to. We have a beautiful work center, and we could hold, about 160 participants in there. With COVID in the space, it reduces it to 95. And then you look at the fact that you have a lot of families that are so nervous about sending their loved ones. And then we just had the situation this week where we had someone test positive. So it's going to take a while to really get the program, back to where it was. But we are, thinking out of the box and trying to provide as much as we can, either on site or, offering virtual services as well.
And Susan, I think it's important for everyone to realize that Illinois has underfunded our programs for the better part of, the whole time that I've been here. And nationally, we rank 44th in terms of our per capita funding of programs like ours. And we've had to do a lot of extra work locally to try and make up the difference. You have a circumstance where the state's attempting to raise the minimum wage, but they're not necessarily keeping up with their funding to cover that. And so it is another one of these unfunded mandates that make it tough, but we absolutely feel that our staff need to be as paid as well as we can, but it's really tough.
You're 44. Are you talking about 44th out of all the states in terms of
Correct,
funding
yes.
for developmentally disabled, right?
Yes,
Just
correct.
Illinois.
For adult services.
Yeah, I thought, yeah. It's terrible.
It was
Stay
a belt-
strong.
Did we go too long?
It's okay.
Right on time.
Right on time. You're all.
No, we went too long to begin with. That's the problem.
Thank you, Kathy, Jason, and Bob. Thank you.
Yes, thank you very much, and
Thank you very much,
congratulations.
everybody. Good luck with everything.
Thank you
Thanks
so
again,
much.
Bob. Thank you, Bob.
Bye. And welcome, Jason.
Thank you.
All right. Next, Bronca.
Well, next up, I see Mindy Hagland is here for older adult services and home delivered meals. Oh, and sorry, and Jamie Alvaro is here as well. I almost missed her.
Right.
Okay, go.
Hi, good evening.
Hello.
Hi. Hi, everyone. It's nice to see all of you. Wish we could be together. This is definitely a different setup this year.
Saves you time traveling though, right?
Yes, exactly. That is true. That's true. But thank you for inviting us to present tonight. As I'm sure you're aware, I'm Jamie Albergo. I'm one of the clinical social workers with Advocate Lutheran General Older Adult Services, of course, for home delivered meals. I've been with Advocate for almost 6 years now. I am one of the program coordinators and I oversee several of the programs, one of them being home delivered meals. And tonight is my right hand, Mindy, and I'll let her introduce herself.
Everybody, how are you? You can hear me okay?
Hi, Mindy.
All right, hi. I couldn't sit still. I was listening, but I had to stand for it, so I'm sorry. So I've been here forever. I wish, like Bob, I could tell you guys I'm retiring, but I got a long way to go, unfortunately. Unfortunately. So I'll be with Advocate Lutheran General. It'll be 20 years in January, which is amazing. And I basically oversee all the programs for older adult services and senior advocate. Jamie's my right hand, my left hand, and both of my feet. Without her, I don't know how we would move on. But Jamie's just going to tell you a little bit about, our home delivered meal program and give you some information and talk a little bit about how COVID hit us and how that has impacted the program a little bit.
Great, thanks. So our home delivered meals program, as I'm sure you're aware, started actually over at Lutheran General under the Service League 40 plus years ago, well before my time. And when it expanded and got too large, that's when it transitioned over to older adult services. And we've had it under our wing for over 30 years now. What's great about the program is that the food is prepared at Lutheran General Hospital, and being that many of our participants have different dietary needs, we're able to meet those restrictions because the food is prepared there. It's a hot lunch that we serve fresh Monday through Friday. It is a program specific to Maine Township residents. We only serve Maine Township residents for our meals program. The meal consists of a couple different components. So we have the main entree, the starch, the vegetable, and then there's also a cold pack. And inside that cold pack would be the dinner roll, the dessert, the side salad, and the beverage. It's very affordable. It's only $6 per meal. It has been $6 per meal for years without a price increase. Our program does continue to operate at a deficit, because it's been under our wing for so many years, and there's such a need within our community, within our township. We continue to operate the program. Of course, by all means, it's not a revenue producing program. This is a feel-good, community-based program to help, adults with disabilities and older adults that are frail and that are homebound, and help them meet their nutritional needs. So I'm sure you're all wondering how COVID has impacted our program this year. So at the very start of the pandemic, I would say probably mid-March for us, as it started to hit all of the businesses and all of the organizations, it was collectively decided by many parties that we needed to temporarily suspend the hot meal program as the hospital navigated this pandemic and figured out, the safest measures as we move forward. So we did temporarily stop our program for 6 weeks. However, I do want to emphasize that during that time, Mindy and I did not stop our efforts in terms of keeping up with our contacts, keeping up with our participants and what their needs were. So between the two of us, we regularly went to the local grocery store and bought perishable and non-perishable food items. We were even asking, our participants what they had a taste for, being that they were going to be cooped up for quite some time, but also buying items that were aligning with their, any restrictions that were in place. We were hand delivering those, leaving them right out at their doorstep. We were making weekly, if not sometimes every other day, wellness calls to our program participants, just checking in. So there's a lot of anxiety. There was a lot of anxiety then. There's still a lot of anxiety now. So it's not just, oh, how is your food supply? It's a 20, 25-minute phone conversation about how are you feeling today? What's going on? Just how are you doing in general, and just being, that ear for them. We collaborated with other community organizations in terms of like sharing resources and what's available, what would help fill in the gaps during these 6 weeks of our suspension. And then we also made just a couple of visits to the food pantry on behalf of our participants who really needed a little extra nutritional support and boost. And Mindy and I hand delivered those items to our participants. So we were fortunate in terms it was a short suspension. We resumed on May 4th. We've been going strong ever since. No problems with COVID. No one testing positive for COVID. A lot of safety measures have been implemented. We are considered contactless at this point, meaning that we've had to change how we administer the program. The meals are put in clean, unused grocery bags, so that when myself, Mindy, or one of our very few volunteers is delivering the meal, to eliminate extra hands touching the meals, we are holding the bag underneath and extending it out so that the participant can just grab the handles of the bag and close the door. But of course, we're wearing our masks and sanitizing frequently. And we're also using like the screen door as an additional barrier between us as the delivery person and the participant. But so at the beginning of the pandemic, all of our volunteer assignments across the advocate system were suspended. Again, as the system, was navigating and trying to figure out safety precautions and everything. only home delivered meals, a few volunteers have been reinstated. They resumed their positions about 3 weeks ago. So since May 4th, I'm proud to say that myself and Mindy and another colleague have been delivering meals. My car can practically drive itself at this point. But that's okay. It's great just keeping in contact with our participants. I don't mind seeing them, and I know they enjoy seeing us. So at this point, Mindy's just going to share a little story about safety story that happened over the summer during the midst of the pandemic.
We have a 96-year-old Maine Township woman. Back in June, pretty sure it was, one of our staff went to deliver the meal to her house. And upon arriving there, we could see she had opened the door already, and she was sitting on the carpet on the floor in her house. The good thing was, thank goodness the screen door was unlocked, and our staff member, team member, was able to open the door and say, are you okay? Do you need help? What's going on? And she said she was okay, that she just slipped. She sat down, and we were able to, actually, we didn't enter the house. We stayed outside because of COVID, obviously, but we were able to see that there was no need for the EMS. She wasn't bleeding. She wasn't complaining of any pain or anything. And we had her emergency contact. We were able to call her daughter, who lived about 15 minutes away, and we stayed with the resident, making sure she was okay, no change in her status, while the daughter came there, and then the daughter went in the house and assisted her up. So it's always, good when we have a save like that, that just by going there and delivering a meal, we found this lady who was supposed to be, okay and doing well, and the daughter was really grateful, because without our wellness check, the daughter wasn't going to check on her until the next day. And, she probably would have sat there for a day. I mean, you guys know all the stories where we find people 2 or 3 days later, and it's just, then it's a disaster, and it's not needed. And we've always worked, I don't know how much time we have. I didn't even look at the clock, but I just wanted to tell you, we had one participant who was very particular, and Marie knows I had gone back and forth to the food pantry at least 3 times a week because she wanted certain types of food that she would only eat. And Marie was gracious, everybody at the food pantry, to make sure this lady had her specific food. And then she was requesting chicken from Boston Market.
That's my favorite.
I have to tell you though, when I told my executive director, he said, well, I don't see a reason why we can't make that wish happen.
I'll make it happen.
And they did. One of the executive directors of the hospital did get a gift card. We were able to deliver to her so she could, and then have the caregiver go get the Boston Market.
Then they send me like her address personally. I'll do that. Oh my God.
I'll send it over to you.
Thank you.
So, we always participate in Government Day, the community service kids. We were going to get some and have them work outside, but that never panned out with everything going on. We obviously, with the mainstreamers and all the staff there, has always been great and supportive. The hospital did a huge food drive for Maine Township this year as soon as COVID hit, and donations.
Yes, we very much appreciate it.
Yeah, I went to look at the stuff.
That seems like months ago or years.
It does. The bands that they brought it was great. They still have staff trained with Marie's group for Matter of Balance. I'm sure it's on hold given everything going on. And then if anybody ever, needs an information session, we always are happy to come over and do it. I don't know how that's going to move, be moving forward. And again, Swing It to Spring was our big thing. We were always one of the sponsors for that for all the years. So I'm out of time. I just want to say thanks. This has been a crazy year.
Mindy, and I have to tell you guys, I really want to commend you. You've literally never raised your request. I always recommend giving you more. So
thank you.
What the hell? I mean, sorry.
There's
never raised your request. It's unbelievable.
Only so much that can go around, and we're grateful for what we get. So.
Oh, I mean, that really is amazing. It's like fish who's coming up, and it's just really like, you guys are God's gift on earth. So send me
Thank you.
Ladies,
Thank you.
Does nobody could possibly have any questions for these ladies, right?
I just want to thank you guys. And I remember some of those stories you've told in past years too of helping people.
they're really great stories.
Yeah, yeah. I still remember one from 20 years ago when I was a student, and the lady who was blind had all the gas on the stove, and she thought it was
I
off.
remember that. I
And the
remember
Park Ridge Fire Department had to come and shut the whole block down. I was in the newspaper.
Life,
That's my
though.
claim to fame, okay?
You saved your life.
I did.
That was
Yeah.
like way back when I first started.
I was about
so
5 years
impressed.
old. I was 5 years old, right?
Sure.
Thank you, ladies.
Thank you, Jamie.
Thank you.
All right. Thank you so much. It
All
was-
right, take care. Be well,
Thank you.
everybody.
Take care.
You too.
Hey, guys.
Bye.
Branca, can you introduce Ed? Although I don't know that he needs any introduction.
No.
Up next, we have Ed Oken for Fish of Park Ridge.
But we have to unmute him. All right. So. All right, there we go. No, not yet.
Yeah.
There we go. We got you.
He's still
We got
muted.
you. No.
It
I
looks
heard
like it. I see him, he's on mute.
I
Got you. I got you.
Oh,
I
you
know.
got
Okay.
Hi, Ed.
got it. Hi, Ed. How are you?
Hi.
It's my
wife,
Georgiana.
Hi, I'm
Hi,
good.
Georgiana.
This is Sadie here.
So nice to see
there we go.
you.
Should I unmute myself?
No,
No,
don't.
Yeah, you sound good. You sound good.
Okay,
Just over
So
here.
are you
Hi.
back in action? How are you?
beg pardon?
I said, are you guys back in action? I hear like that we.
Well, not really. No, we're not. A little bit.
Okay.
Of course, what's happened is, well, in March, everything stopped. We had a wonderful January, February, and March,
Right.
where we did around 300 rides, or a little bit more than that. Of course, that's our mission, to provide free transportation to the citizens of Maine Township and Park Ridge for their medical and dental appointments. And the people that do that are typically retired people.
Well, and they're the most vulnerable. Like that's why Austin and I decided to like cover you guys. Well,
Yeah, way back in 2006, actually. Well, I think we were not affiliated with the township, but we were getting dollars from them. I think about 2003 or so, somewhere in there, maybe.
I've been here since 01, and it was just done a different way. It was through Maine and Gloria, if you remember Gloria.
Yeah, Gloria, sure. She was retired from the township.
Absolutely. But do you anticipate, assuming this ends, that I guess my question, I mean, we all know Fish, so I really like, I adore you. I think everybody does. Do you guys?
Wonderful. Thank you.
We love you guys. So do you guys have any, or do you want us to help like recruit younger drivers? I don't know if that would help.
It's always been a problem, but it's more acute now than ever.
Right.
Started the year with 20 drivers. When the pandemic came, most of them, if they didn't resign outward, said, I'll come back later.
Right.
Maybe one of those people that said, I'll come.
Hard to blame them. I mean, it is.
So we're down to 8 drivers now. And we are starting up again with the help of Branca to get going. And I think in November, I'm pretty sure that you've said we've got some people coming up, right, Branca?
Yeah, we have our first ride on Tuesday.
Very good.
Yeah, I knew you weren't doing that. I mean,
one of the things we're trying to do is, and we've got that gas subsidy program, gas card subsidy, that we're trying to redo that to make it more attractive because it was set up about 10 years ago and it hasn't changed at all. And what we're trying to do is to get maybe a shorter time limit for people where they don't have to do as many rides and still can be rewarded, and maybe also have a larger dollar amount for them for that. So they're not doing a complete, say 5 rides and I'm not earning anything.
So I have a question. You went down in your, I mean, I understand you were like not doing it for a while and we're down on drivers, but if we want to increase the gas subsidy to make it more attractive for volunteers, why did you go down to 4,000 from 4,800?
Well, I think this idea of changing, enhancing our gas card subsidy came after we
application.
So it was something now that we're working on. Hopefully we can get that done. Otherwise, we're going to need all the help we can get for
I know.
Including, you know, drivers.
Right.
And hopefully, you know, if and when we get a break here on the pandemic, either through the vaccination or what have you, that, you know, we can start really going again.
Dana, can I ask Dana, Dana, have we gone to press on Mainly News, or can I still add in that as like
We
a
can.
request
funny
for
you said that. I just
volunteer
talked-
for drivers? Can I do that?
I just talked to Fred today and we have not gone to press. So if you give me something the next day or two, we can.
I'll give it
squeeze
to you tomorrow.
Yep, perfect.
We'll get you some drivers.
Okay, that's great. But otherwise, that's, you know, where we're at and what we want to get done and get back in service. Hopefully soon. But the individuals that said either no or like myself, hey, I'll come back when things have settled down. Some of them had serious illnesses themselves, so they couldn't.
I understand your health is more
themselves.
important. I mean, it is. You guys really, that's why I want to put out in my Laura's letter a request for some volunteer.
Oh, that's wonderful.
Drivers. Yeah, no, I mean, I'm glad you're like Bronca, you know, this is like something we had her take with her. And I know you get a lot, you know, you guys do it.
Oh, Bronca's been wonderful to us.
It was like a
She's
condition.
terrific. And I know she's wonderful to everybody. She does great work.
She does.
Thank you.
Does anybody have any questions of Ed? Or want to give him more money than he asked for? But does anybody have any questions?
Nope.
We love you. Stay
Okay,
safe.
thank you.
Thank you, Ed.
Bye,
Strong, Ed.
everybody.
Stay strong.
Good to see you again.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye-bye.
All right.
What do I have to do?
Oh, he got it.
All right. So.
Bye, Bronca.
Bye, Ed.
Thank you, everyone.
Bye.
Thank you.
Thank you. Bronca, I think I'm lost. Are we Glenkirk next?
Yep, we got Corey Larson and Kim Bearberg from Glenkirk up next.
All right. I know they've been in this for a
Ehrenberg.
long time. Sorry, guys. Thank you. I think they have to unmute though.
Okay, sorry, I was trying to figure that out. Good evening, everyone. My name is Kim Berenberg. I'm from Glenkirk. I think this is the first time I'm getting the opportunity to meet you all virtually. I recently became the CEO at Glenkirk in July.
Wow.
After being with the organization for 20 years. And so obviously a very interesting time to take over, have a leadership transition. But thankfully I have Corey Larson here with me this evening, who I know you have all known for many years. And so we are here tonight to discuss Glenkirk. For those of you that I think you're all familiar with our organization, we operate residential and day supports for adults with intellectual disabilities. We also have a respite program. As you had heard earlier from Avenues to Independence, our story is very similar. We have been since about mid-March sheltering in place after DHS shut down our programs. We are currently, really, there's not one place within the organization that COVID has not had a marked impact. And really our operations over the last 7 months have been focused on the health and safety and well-being, both physical and psychological, of the individuals that we serve. We, since our shelter in place in mid-March, have really had to shift our day programs, which used to operate at 7 community-based locations. Now those are centered around our residential sites as our individuals are staying home. We have reassigned our staff that used to work in the day program into those home settings, and we have cohorted our staff, meaning that we have limited the amount of staff that are working at any one given location, which therefore has driven up our overtime costs, but has been shown from a public health perspective to be the safest approach in decreasing our risk of exposure to our individuals. We have had to purchase PPE that we had not really ever had to mandate before, and have screening systems for our staff, and really have worked tirelessly to learn as much as we possibly can about this virus and how to limit exposure for the individuals that we serve, many of which have comorbidities and risk factors that would put them at risk of greater or severe COVID illness. These changes have had large financial impacts on us as well, not just in the staff overtime and the purchasing of supplies. We have worked on creating a supply ordering and delivery system so that our individuals and staff don't have to go out into the community to shop. And we've markedly had to decrease the amount of people that we serve generally, because about 40% of the individuals coming to our day programs do not live with us, live at Glenkirk programs. Many of them live at a ICFDD located in Des Plaines, Maine Township residents. About 110 of those individuals have been attending Glenkirk day programs for decades, but since mid-March have been sheltering in place per public health mandates for those living in skilled nursing facilities. Additionally, we had retention payments from the state of Illinois that were meant to bolster us up through the spring and make sure that we could maintain capacity to reopen day programs. But as this pandemic has extended time-wise, the state has retracted those payments because it's not plausible for them to continue those. And so all in all, Glenkirk has experienced a $2 million loss of revenue this fiscal year directly related to the COVID pandemic. And the way that we have responded to this has been to really consolidate what used to be our day program structure and slide those supports into the home setting, both in the reassignment of our staff, our direct care staff, and also in the repurposing of some of our managerial staff to create systems for logistics to make sure that each of our homes have the needs that have their needs met, as well as curriculum and employment supports, making sure that we have structured, routine-oriented day programming that is meaningful to individuals, typically a mix of fitness activities, virtual activities, as well as telehealth, visits with their music therapist over a Zoom meeting, and other ways of connecting with peers, family members, and other social contacts and social supports. We have transitioned many of our health services. You know, Glenkirk operates a pretty robust clinical services department that is made up of therapists, behavior specialists, as well as medical professionals. We have transitioned many of those services to telehealth and really shifted a focus on the skills building that we're doing within our home to make sure the individuals that we serve are building skills in the areas of mask wearing, hand washing, social distancing.
We have increased our access to technology, and we are currently in the process of further developing a virtual day services program model. So for example, the individuals living at Gulfview Developmental Center will be able to access virtual services through our program providers. So if they would like, they can come to attend a yoga class virtually or connect with some of their friends and peers that they haven't been able to see in several months while we await our green light to begin providing those day services to those individuals again, which obviously will be dependent upon COVID numbers going down to a place where we're not in mitigation efforts in the state of Illinois at public health facilities. We've also evolved our fundraising efforts. We typically would have a large in-person benefit in October or November of each year. This year, we transitioned a major donor event over the summer to a virtual event and had people join us for a virtual wine tasting over Zoom, where we delivered care packages to our major donors and had an evening where we discussed Glenkirk and what's been going on with Glenkirk. We had a sommelier join us and give some interesting tidbits about wine, and then kind of finished the night just talking about the importance of keeping our connections to our community during this time. We are all extremely isolated from one another because of COVID, our individuals even more so, and they need the support of their community more than ever in order to stay connected, to have the resources that they need to stay safe, and to make sure that organizations such as Glenkirk weather this storm so that we can get back to providing those community-based day program services post-pandemic.
Great.
It was very good.
That was really good. And I'm sorry you have a $2 million deficit. That's, you know, but, you know, you guys do a great job. And does anybody have any, do you want to talk? I mean, but she's muted.
It's very thorough.
Very thorough, yeah. And so unless anybody has any questions, I know you've waited.
No, I'm good.
All right.
Thank you.
I just want to thank you so much for your time. I know
Thank
you're
you, Corey.
hearing a lot
Thank you,
of-
Kim.
Yeah, a lot of stories tonight. We appreciate you listening to ours.
Okay.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
Right. Brian, I think we have open community.
We have, I'm sorry if I say this wrong, but Moira Delaney with Open Communities.
Okay.
Yeah, it's Mariah Delaney. How are you?
Oh, see, Mariah.
I know that spelling throws people off. Well, thank you for having me tonight. And so for those of you who aren't familiar with Open Communities, our mission is to educate, advocate, and organize to promote just, inclusive communities in the north suburbs of Chicago. And we seek to eradicate housing discrimination in all forms against people because of their race, color, origin, religion, gender, and that we think housing is a human right. We know that where you live matters. It gives you access to quality schools and green spaces and health and the community that supports you. And so our main goal is for housing stability and to keep people in the communities that they want and in communities with high-end resources that are accessible for all people. Our services are free to clients, and we provide services. Our target population is low-income individuals in the northern Cook County area. The request for funding is to support our two main programs of fair housing testing and enforcement and housing counseling. And fair housing testing and enforcement for Maine Township residents would be to try to get more housing testers to work within the Maine Township market. And for those of you who aren't familiar with housing testing, if anybody feels that they've been discriminated against, we can get people to pose as actors to test to go and pose as a renter to see if there is a case for discrimination. And in that case, we would either educate or possibly enforce through litigation. And then our housing counseling program focuses on foreclosure prevention and eviction prevention, do pre and post purchase counseling and financial literacy, And as you guys know, with COVID-19, eviction prevention is huge right now with the eviction moratorium that is set to end mid-November and hopefully will be extended, but it's something that we're preparing ourselves for. When COVID hit, we saw a 300% increase in our call volume. And within the last month, we had 110 new calls, all towards our housing counseling and some towards fair housing. So for Maine Township residents, you know, everybody's being impacted economically by COVID-19 and the unfortunate unknown longevity of this. We don't know how long the economic impact will be on people's ability to pay rent. And then if renters aren't able to pay, then the landlords aren't able to negotiate with the renters because they need to pay their mortgage. And so we're seeing ourselves as housing counseling to do mediation between landlords and tenants, providing a lot of referrals for rental assistance. And it's just doing the best we can to mitigate the inevitable bankruptcy and different issues that people will be facing. So prior to COVID-19, we had for fundraising a big event planned in April that obviously had to be canceled. And through that, the loss of up to $30,000 that we had intended to raise. We're now focusing more on individual donors and support from local municipalities and partners, and then federal funding to kind of support these programs. Because of the huge demand on the housing counseling department, we've been able to increase, and we've hired a new housing counselor and then a part-time program intake person to help with the influx of phone calls. And then through a HUD grant, we're able to hire somebody to help with outreach and education. And that would be a big part with Maine Township, to be able to have that outreach person to kind of reach out to different partners, local landlords, to kind of let people know about our services. Because like I said, we only anticipate a huge influx of people having this housing crisis in need of services from open communities. I think that kind of covers most of it. That
I'm still a little, I know you presented here before, I'm still a little confused about the actual services. And I mean, no offense, you know, to this, you know, you've sat here all night, I think, listening to our direct service agencies. And so you said, I mean, I'd be really quick, but it says total number of unduplicated Maine Township clients, 13. So what were they?
What were the majority of clients that call in are renting counseling clients that possibly are having an issue with their landlord with heat or a different thing. So we can help with the negotiation of kind of what the tenant's rights are. And we help with the mediation there to let them know. But it can be lots of different.
What the Maine Township, I'm asking specifically about
the 13.
About
the 13?
Right.
Okay. I don't have specifically in front of me, unfortunately, what those 13 Maine Township residents. I know so I started a year ago, and when I started, I think, no, it's okay. When I first started, I know we were doing the last bit of reporting for the current funding we had at that time. And then the development director prior to me, I think, had not done the funding for the current year that I've been here. But I know during that reporting time, there was, so I think it was through the end of last March, a lot of referrals for different agencies in the area with rental assistance, but I don't have the specifics of what the Maine Township, I mean, that is something, as you know, every nonprofit struggles with their data and transitions. And so that's something that our CEO is very adamant about. We're partnering with Democracy Lab right now so that they can help establish the different funding partners we have and what people are looking for, so we can kind of tell our story better, so that what a important question you're asking, so that we'd be able to answer that more based off of when we get calls in, what the referrals are and what the specific services that are provided for the Maine Township clients.
Right, so I don't, okay, go on.
So, are these people, before they come to you, are they mainly homeless?
There could be in lots of different situations. Some people come to us that are in a car, living in a car and needing services, and so we'll connect them with Connections for the Homeless and different things, or they're in transition and are needing just help in the process of how to engage with the landlord. Maybe they have a poor credit, and so we kind of do financial literacy training on how to build up your credit to be able to be, and then we'll do even like a budget plan of what apartments would be affordable within their financial parameters.
Okay, so for statistics, let's take the ones that are homeless. If you place them in housing in Maine Township, then are you counting them as Maine Township clients? Even though, you know, obviously if you are homeless, you know, I don't know where they were coming from before. So are you counting them as, you understand my question?
I do understand your question.
Okay.
And through the intake process that we have for homeless residents, I'm not sure how the reporting piece goes, but I know once a Maine Township address would be established, that would be put into that to be reported.
And then really quick, do you know why you didn't apply last year?
I think it had to do with the transition of the previous development director.
Okay, thank you.
I do have one final question for me. Like, how did we come up with 15,000? Your budget's really big, and you have, like you said, have this really big HUD grant. So how did you come up with, or I don't know if it was you, but your agency, 15,000 for 13 unduplicated Maine Township clients that we don't exactly know what the services are?
Right.
And I don't mean it in a bad way. I just genuinely want to know.
Sure. It was a projection based off of the 300% increase in clients that our organization was kind of overwhelmed with the amount of services that were in need. And we were anticipating, and still do anticipate, this huge increase of people in need of all these services, especially, like I said, with the eviction moratorium ending, we're just expecting a tsunami of calls. And so it was just to Maine Township is, I know with this new HUD grant that I mentioned, that's where a lot of outreach is going to be going towards. The fair housing testing person has created partnerships there, or is hoping to.
Does anybody else have any questions? Okay, I'm like, you really were here all night. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much.
Very much.
Thank you.
appreciated.
Thank you very much.
Yeah.
Have a good night.
Thank you, you too.
Thank you.
Well, the next, and I think last, needs no introduction.
Right.
Hi, John. How are you?
John and Greg.
Hi, John.
Greg. How are
Hi,
you?
Greg.
Oh, well, nice to be here with you. I've got my dog at my side here, so let's hope she.
Aw.
I wish we could be in person, but this is the best.
I
one.
know. We
Well,
will.
Thank you for the opportunity to present tonight. As you would well imagine, our agency has seen a sharp increase in demand for our services since March, with dangers and risks associated with the pandemic. Our mission to provide housing solutions, support services, and counseling for older adults, persons with disabilities, and others in need is more important than ever, with increased fear and anxiety and greater challenges in these difficult times. In April through June 2020, we responded to a 45% increase in service requests and implemented significant modifications to older adult in-person activities, home check-ins, and other volunteer activities to ensure safety and continuity in our service delivery. Many additional steps to safeguard staff and so forth were put into place as well. We did remain open, and greater numbers seems like by the day. Since we were founded, strong partnerships and significant volunteer support has enabled the center to adapt programs and services to address unmet needs in Maine Township. This past year, new or strengthened partnerships with the Park Ridge Police Department, Des Plaines History Center, Rotary International, Sheridan Park Ridge, School District 207, and the Village of Niles contributed greatly to introducing 984 new residents and volunteers to our agency programs and services. Partnerships like these are such a positive part of the nonprofit world, playing a major role in strengthening community by connecting residents to resources, maximizing agency resources, timely intervention to stabilize families, and effective outreach to recruit volunteers for a wide range of opportunities. Last year, our agency provided 26,320 services in our 3 categories of service: senior support, housing solutions, and community services. This represented a solid increase of 14.5% over last year's services to Maine Township residents. The numbers also represent an astounding 29.2% increase in hours provided to clients, and we are currently seeing a continued increase in hours and services to help local residents affected by the pandemic. I wanted to mention that your recent supplemental award to help us assist residents was really greatly appreciated, and with our increased staffing needs. So thank you for that. Our programs are especially impactful for isolated adults without friends or family close by to care for their needs as they struggle with high costs of housing, medical care, and living on minimal Social Security income. Our services are so important for this primary service population which cannot afford the market rate for services and do not qualify for government assistance. 83% of the clients we served last year had low or fixed incomes as defined by the federal government poverty wage index. The average center client was a non-Hispanic woman over 62 with income under $18,500 per year. Senior services accounted for 76% of our agency activity this past year. Residents of Maine Township receive assistance to address challenges related to aging with licensed and experienced case managers, complemented by a volunteer network providing ongoing supportive services in accordance with CDC guidelines. After our in-home assessments, residents are matched with supportive services in the form of weekly friendly visits, telephone reassurance calls, shopping assistance, bill paying, and connection to the center's housing solution services, including home sharing and a wide range of community services. With so many residents impacted by COVID-19, depleted retirement savings after caring for a loved one, and unable to keep pace with rising costs of healthcare, our services are truly more important than ever. Our compassionate chore aides are a lifeline for older adults with physical challenges who benefit from their assistance with household chores, in-person visits, and access to additional center services. Like other chore aid programs in suburban Cook County, extensive safety measures were implemented to protect the health and well-being of program participants. Our chore aides provided free housekeeping, light meal preparation, and home maintenance assistance to over 161 older adults in Maine Township last year. Senior companion volunteers provide clients with 15 to 40 hours of service each week to reduce isolation and access important resources to help low-income homebound seniors remain independent in their homes. With an average age of 75, senior companions enjoy a very positive program where they find meaning and purpose by assisting other less mobile adults and earn an modest income stipend, which doesn't impact their Social Security benefits. Our housing services comprise 21% of agency activities. Residents of all ages were assisted with rent, utility, and moving assistance, home sharing opportunities, and our rapid rehousing program brings shelter to homeless families, builds life skills, and prevents greater hardships for families impacted by homelessness. Last fiscal year, nearly 8,000 shelter nights were provided and 6,600 housing services to nearly 1,000 households were delivered. Since March of this year, $125,000 in financial assistance were provided for persons affected by COVID-19 in Maine Township. Community services were provided to residents through a variety of individual counseling and group-based supportive services. Our community service offerings represent just 3% of agency service activity. Volunteer counselors provide general legal assistance, guidance with Medicare benefits and enrollment and insurance plans, low-income tax return preparation, employment counseling, and energy savings plans. Our Alzheimer's Caregiver Support Group and Memory Cafe offer effective support group settings to support families impacted by memory loss. Since 1978, when our agency was founded, one of our agency's greatest strengths has been leveraging skills and commitment of volunteers. Last year, our volunteer force accounted for 16% of agency support, providing a wide range of services for residents and significantly reducing labor costs by assisting with office reception, intake, data entry duties, and new opportunities for younger adults and students to support our agency mission. Most importantly, our case managers are supported by a wide range of dedicated volunteers specializing in addressing the needs of the elderly and persons at risk of homelessness. Last fiscal year, $218,000 in volunteer hours and in-kind donations were realized despite an interruption in volunteer-friendly visits and in-person congregate activities curtailed as a result of COVID-19. I'm very proud to talk about our new team board activities, which resulted in many new events to harness the creativity and energy of our District 207 students. Joy packages with thoughtful gift and messages were greatly appreciated as they were delivered to 200 isolated older adults. Students provided window washing and yard maintenance in our community service day opportunities, prepared personalized birthday cards to our senior support clients, and also collected household items which were brought to area homeless shelters, were just some of the activities coordinated by the civic-minded young adults. Other volunteer activities include support from 5 social work interns from area institutions of learning. Students pursuing social work, mental health, and public administration degrees add tremendous value to our programs and services, and in turn are exposed to individual and group intervention activities by experienced agency case managers. All of the center's volunteers were instrumental in responding to needs of area residents and meeting our annual service goals. As challenges related to aging have increased and the lack of affordable housing deepens, we will continue to adapt programs to address resident needs and maintain effective community partnerships to match residents with support and resources to remain independent and reduce hardships. Maine Township's ongoing support, and particularly additional COVID relief funding, has been crucial for the agency to support our residents. We remain deeply grateful for the positive partnership with Maine Township to serve residents through effective intervention and ongoing support for families in crisis. We're committed to pursuing these opportunities that do not duplicate efforts of other agencies as we adapt programs and services, address unmet needs in our community. Did I cover enough? I hope
Yeah. We love you.
Well, you're all familiar with our programs, but it is really remarkable.
Very well done, along with the packet. Very well done.
Yes. So you're not going to be offended if nobody has any questions.
Right.
I mean, not that I'm trying to stifle questions.
Right.
Greg, you don't have anything to add to that, do you?
No, and that was my reasoning, being in the last agency of the night. I think we're the last agency at all overall, right?
You're of everything, of all.
Yeah. You guys are going to be so tired you won't have any questions for us.
Hey,
Good to hear from you, Greg.
Good to hear
Some
from you guys.
people don't, yeah, really nice to end with you guys.
Yeah.
Like the epitome of what everybody should be. You and Avenues are so. Thank you.
Well, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, John. Thank you, guys.
And with that,
I do have one other question though. For Austin, I'm just wondering what the E behind you stands for.
Eat.
The letter E that's on your wall.
Whoever said eat is correct.
Oh, wow. That's
It's your
This is
kitchen.
kind of a
Or
dining
not your kitchen, your dining room.
we're on. Yeah.
Anybody else notice that his clock gives him horns the whole time?
I noticed that. I did notice that.
I did.
Very observant.
Admiring Dana's leather couch.
There we go.
Sorry, not that we weren't listening.
You guys are troopers.
Earlier.
And thank you, John. Thank you, Greg.
Thank you, John.
Thank you.
Thank
Thank
you.
you.
Always a pleasure. Next
Thank you.
year, as we say in Judaism, next year in Jerusalem, next year in the boardroom.
There we go. There we go. Well said. Well
Well
said.
said.
And
Okay, well, thank you
Alright,
guys. I'll say
thank
goodbye
you so
then.
much.
Good night.
Take
Thank
care.
you.
Stay safe.
With
Thank you.
that,
You too.
I am going to ask for a motion to adjourn.
Motion to
Motion to
adjourn.
adjourn.
Second.
Don't all tie yourselves. Second, any discussion? No. Yesha. Vote. Yes, right? Everybody in
Aye.
favor?
I, multiple
Thank
eyes.
you, everybody. Amazing.
Good night.
Yeah,
Thank you
good night.
again.
Bye.
Bye.
Good night.